everyone. This is Ferlie Almonte, your host for New Beginnings. Welcome to another exciting and juicy edition of New Beginnings, where we're going to be able to empower you with knowledge and wisdom that could help make decisions that could change your lives. Well, today, oh my goodness, I am thrilled to bits because I have with me a friend who I've known for over 10 years, and I have witnessed her blossom in her law profession and how she has helped so many people going through divorces and any other family law and international law issues. She has a beautiful story that will also inspire you. And today we're also going to delve with something that's really going to be affecting a lot of us here in the active adult community called gray divorce. Have you heard of it? I haven't until Carolina made mention of it. And we're also going to be talking about Medicare divorce. Ooh, something new? Well, stay tuned because you are going to be empowered, you're going to be enlightened, but most of all, inspired. Well, welcome to the show, Carolina Denhard, a partner for Linda Berry McCormick.
Yes,
right?
yes.
I just want to make sure I said that right. Linda Berry McCormick. She's a partner, she's a family law attorney, she's a matrimonial expert in law, and my goodness, you will be able to be inspired by this lady because not only is she an expert in all of these beautiful things when it comes to legal matters, but she is also an advocate for many other philanthropic causes there are. And that's what I love most about you, because you are just so kind-hearted among all the beautiful things that you are. Welcome to New Beginnings.
Oh my God, thank you for that amazing introduction. And I have to tell you that I am blown away, first of all, by your journey. I watch you, we're friends for over 10 years. You are such an inspiration. But when you told me to come down to South Jersey, that you have this studio, I said, it's going to be fun. You know, Ferlie will give me some coffee. We'll sit in a living room. There'll be some lights. You'll make it dazzling. I had no idea that this is what you've created down here. It is such a vibrant, lovely community. But the studio, I feel like I'm on Fox News. This is fantastic. We have to start a series here. There's so much to talk about, you know, and while we could laugh about things and while we bring joy to many, these topics are serious, because when life throws a curveball, whether death of a spouse, disability of a spouse, long-term disability, or divorce at any age, what do? Well, you can't throw your hands up in the air. You have to become empowered. And the Divorce Dynasty platform, which we'll talk about today, just does that. Prepares, protects, partners so you can prosper.
Oh my goodness. I didn't even get to mention that we actually co-hosted a podcast called The D Word.
That's right.
Yeah. And so with that, we were able to showcase a lot of different, how do you call that? Authorities.
That's right. Authorities. That's right. Different experts, absolutely.
Yeah, in the different areas of divorce. And, it could be a lot of different things, because when you're going through divorce, disability, death, or anything like that, there are many legal matters that need to be taken care of. And a lot of people are not sure what to do.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, because of the fact that I bring friends here to the show, you have a very inspiring story as to how your law profession began. Do you want to share a little bit of that?
Just a tiny little bit. There's so much politics in the news today. I have to be careful what I say. But, first and foremost, I'm an immigrant from Poland. English is my second language. My mother brought me to this country as a result of her own divorce in search of the American dream. And my God, the American dream did I live. I married a prominent attorney who became a state senator. Today is the Senate president. The third most influential position in the state of New Jersey. Unfortunately, divorce happened. And while I was an educated woman, I have a master's in counseling psychology, I felt unequipped. I didn't know how to read a tax return. I didn't know what my rights were. I didn't know anything. I felt completely lost. And at that time, my divorce attorney looked at me and said, "You got this. Those tears running down your cheeks, save them for a surprise party. Life is about to unfold anew, a new beginning," the title of your show. Because life doesn't end. It ends when we die. Until then, we keep going.
Right.
So while I was living the fairy tale and why I thought life was grand, I didn't expect what was coming next. And Divorce Dynasty was born after I went to law school, after I built my career, because I didn't want people going through the same thing, especially women. They would come in and ask questions like, what am I entitled to? Will I keep my life insurance, my health insurance? Will I lose my child because I'm getting divorced? Do I have to move out of my house? And to me, those questions were just astounding, that women felt that without their husbands, they were somehow less than. And Divorce Dynasty was born to empower and educate, so that no matter what happens in your life, there's a team of people that are there to help you get through.
Oh my goodness. Like that is like an empowerment tool by itself, because I am part of the Divorce Dynasty as well, you know.
For years.
From
the very beginning.
Yes. But I keep evolving in my role there because like I've also been providing financial resilience, because the whole idea of us being, you know, a part of this Divorce Dynasty is we allow people to live resilient and vibrant lives despite the different adversities that they go through in life. It's absolutely amazing. But let's talk about the active adult community.
Yes.
You know, okay, you get to be middle age, and then suddenly you think that you have a happily ever after, right?
That's right.
Ooh, you know, you're married, and like my daughter's getting married in July. You know, like of course you have this fairy tale inside of you that is burning, that you know that you want to grow old with your partner, and then life happens, and somehow something changed midway. So what's happening right now in the middle age?
Yeah, so you know the biggest thing is that people are living longer, so they get to do it again and again and again, right? Where you were married young and you died young years ago, now you're living till 100. You could get divorced 3 times if you want to, right? So listen, we're seeing the second and third divorces absolutely come into our office, but great divorce is actually now a term because it's real, and what that means is that people get divorced later in life. And what does that mean? Well, if it's a divorce because I don't like you and you don't like me, and we don't have medical issues at the moment, then we're looking at our nest egg that we put together that now was going to serve the both of us has to be divided in half. So when people had plans to maybe sell in North Jersey, maybe move to Florida, North Carolina, South Jersey, and they were going to rely on the proceeds from their house and their 401k, maybe their pension, well, now you're splitting everything in 2. It's very difficult to fund 2 households with 1 source of income. So that life that you had planned about how you were going to retire, maybe how early you were going to retire, now has to take a back seat, and you have to figure out what you're going to do. And if the woman never worked, for example, was going to really rely upon the husband's assets to take them further, well, now she might get half of it, but now what? Will that be enough for her to take her into her twilight years while she's now living on a smaller pot? So these are really important considerations, especially when we live in New Jersey, the second most expensive state in the country to retire.
Is it really?
I just saw a survey the other day preparing for your show, and it's astronomical. So where let's say you even pay off your mortgage. Well, now what about your taxes, your car insurance? Everything is so expensive that if you now have to divide that pool of money for retirement into 2, well, now the dollar's cut in half. So people face a lot of challenges when all of a sudden divorce happens later in life because you had a plan A and now it's plan B. And the other concerning thing, Furley, is that alimony is only payable if you're still working. So let's say you retired 64, 65, young people, right? You're young. Mm-hmm. You're a police officer, you're a dentist, you're a doctor, you're whatever, you retired. Well, now your wife's still young, but you're not working. She never worked. You're not going to pay her alimony because you're retired. So now this woman that raised your children, and we're being sexist here for our audience because it can work both ways. Now this woman is only going to be able to live on Social Security and your investments and the 401k. So a lot of women don't realize that. They say, well, he'll pay me alimony till he dies. Not if he doesn't work. So there's a lot of considerations that go into when you get divorced later in life.
What if he retires already, but he has a business, and he's is the wife entitled, the ex-wife entitled to half of the business?
So absolutely. In New Jersey, a business is an asset. So whether it's a car dealership or a restaurant, or you make tchotchkes, it's a business that gets valued, and the wife, even if she did not work for the business, gets a share. Absolutely. If the husband, after he retires from his daytime job, starts a business, well, then he's still working, she would get alimony. So every situation is different, but what we have to really pay attention to is the fact that you may not be working, and then you're taking money away from your assets, away from the pot. You're no longer putting in the pot. So unless you're very well invested in the market, it's growing, which which we now see what's going on, it's a lot of considerations. And at that point, then what if the woman says, well, I can't afford to live in New Jersey. Let me go to Delaware. Let me go to Pennsylvania. Well, now think about the relocation. Now she's away from her friends, maybe her family, because she can't afford to stay where she thought she was going to retire. So now we have psychological issues. Now there's loneliness. Now you have to start fresh. So I really feel that this type of a community for our ladies out there that are maybe facing an illness of a husband, which we'll talk about next, it's important to think about getting involved in a supportive community like this. And when you walk me in, we sell bocce ball, and there's swimming pools. There's friendship here.
Exactly.
So it's a beautiful thing to think about, part of your long-term planning.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you mentioned about our community, because I live in an active adult community, and we love it here because, first of all, there are 62 clubs. You cannot be bored.
I'm ready to move in. I'm ready.
You're too young to move yet. But the whole point is that it's a community where so many amenities we have in here. We have, we have 2 Olympic-sized pools. We have like clubhouses. We have shows all the time. We have bocce club, golf. We have, by the way, we have, and you don't even have to pay here to play golf.
It's amazing.
It's a short course, but the whole point is that like people get very active, and so the camaraderie and the support that you get from this community, the new friendships that are developed, is really very, very important. And also, when you live in an active adult community like this, it's a lot more affordable because there's a lot of people from Bergen County, New York, Staten Island. They're moving in here because they could sell their houses there for like $1 million, and then they can buy something in here for, for 200, 300,000, and be able to have access to all of these amazing things.
And have quality of life.
And have a quality of life. And also don't feel alone, because you had mentioned about feeling alone. Like, Gray, it's like, it's very sad that, like your happily ever after does not happen. But then again, there are always new beginnings. Sometimes, like, I said, like, life's rejection is God's protection.
Oh, that's right.
Right? And so oftentimes it leads us to a better life, because why would you stay in a marriage that's like so miserable anyway, where you're not valued, where you can easily be traded in for a 20-something-year-old, just because it doesn't make sense, and it's very hurtful. So what else do you do, for example, in terms of like when a client sees you, like she's lost. Okay, here you go. I just got served divorce papers. What now? Now, she doesn't have money, and of course, she's like, should I go for mediation so to save money? I think it's an absolutely wrong thing. No, not for, I wouldn't say it's wrong, but it's not for everyone, because you could be missing out on a lot of rights.
That's right. That's right.
And you can get better guidance on what you can, because, like the powerful men, can manipulate those people, especially if they have not worked a lot,
They don't. A lot of the times they don't even know where to begin. But it's very interesting where we are in the state of New Jersey right now, because we have a shortage of judges. So even to get to court to potentially have a trial on your divorce because you can't agree, now there's years. Morris County has a moratorium, meaning you can't even get a trial date. So what I see to my clients is, let's all start with, let's try to get along. Let's see what we could come up with. You have an advocate in me. Hopefully the husband has a lawyer. So you have 2 legal minds representing the couple. Absolutely, we go to mediation. But there's a difference between going to mediation with your lawyer who is advocating for you, or going by yourselves. And a lot of mistakes that people make is they want to, I don't want to spend any money. I don't want to, I want to get this done on the cheap. Well, sometimes when you get it done on the cheap and you settled it all the wrong ways, then you have buyer's remorse, and you find out after the divorce that you just left this on the table, that on the table. So bad idea. When people go to mediation on their own, that mediator is a neutral person that doesn't advocate for either person. So you have no one in your corner fighting for you. It's a different scenario where you go to mediation with your lawyers. And I love to use retired judges as mediators. Why? They have seen everything tens of thousands of times. Nothing is unique. So they will be able to say to Mrs. or Mr., if it's an unreasonable position, sir, ma'am, you're not going to prevail on that. So it expedites things in a thoughtful way.
Oh, I like that. I didn't think that, I thought all the while that when you go to mediation, you go by yourself. I didn't know that you can bring an attorney.
Absolutely. And in fact, our court system is designed in such a way that when you file for divorce and your case progresses, ultimately you go to something called early settlement panel, where 2 lawyers volunteer their time, 2 other lawyers, to try to help you settle your case. But then if you don't settle that day, you get 2 free hours of economic mediation from mediators that are on the court roster to give you that time. Now, do cases settle in those 2 hours that are free? Sometimes, but you're at least in that mode right now of talking settlement. Listen, divorce is a loss for both people, right? If you win, then the other person really didn't win. Everybody needs to feel a little bit of a loss because you're compromising on your assets, on your children, on custody, whatever it may be. So it's not supposed to feel a win for everybody. But the biggest mistake people make is that either they want to do it quickly and they don't look into their rights, or they're so angry about what happened that they blow through their money to fight. I am somewhere in the middle. I am the lawyer that wants to connect my clients to different professionals. So don't keep paying me. Go to this one, that one, and the other one, and have a big support system to help you think clearly. Because Ferl, you know this, when we are emotional, our emotions are driving us. It's not usually our common sense or our middle eye, and you can't take that approach in divorce. You're going to spend a lot of money, you're going to cause yourself heartache, and you're going to probably end up in a really bad place.
So what's the big difference between getting divorced when you're younger and when you are in the gray area now, like middle age?
Usually more assets, more things to fight about, right? Family businesses, multi-generational trusts, maybe you're supporting now the elderly parents. Well, whose responsibility will that be after? Is there any responsibility? There's more issues than a young marriage. Young marriages are usually fueled by custody issues, which are very ugly when you're fighting over the children. But later in life we have more things to argue about. But the biggest issues I mentioned before, 2 things. Number 1 is if you're retired, what happens to the marital lifestyle and the cash flow? And number 2, Medicaid divorces, right? So let's touch upon that.
Let's talk about that, because that's something that I've never even heard before.
So think about this, right? So you're happily married, let's say, and the last thing you want to do is get divorced, but one or the other spouse is getting sick. So now you have all these assets, your house, your shore house, your boat, money in the bank. Well, you're not going to qualify for assisted living or long-term care on the part of the government because you have assets. So what do couples do? They get divorced and disproportionately try to DV those assets so that the person that's sick could qualify for aid. Now, it may sound to you like that sounds like a scheme. What are we doing? We're trying to defraud the government. Well, we call it proper planning, right? And it's a very sad time in life, and we have to be careful how it's done because the government has a look-back period. So, they could look back 5 to 7 years of what did you do with your assets? Why all of a sudden is Mr. Johnson, destitute? So it's a very, very sensitive area, but it's something that couples, especially when there's health issues, need to start thinking about, because you don't want your lifelong work and everything you've accumulated to unfortunately then be lost for long-term care.
So if they divorce, to be able to be strategic about it, what do you also lose, say, for example, the Social Security that you're entitled to?
No, you don't lose this. So first of all, the divorce is a real divorce. You're really divorced. And oftentimes it ends up obviously being a necessity for divorce because the caregiver gets tired. There's depression issues. There's loneliness. And the person that becomes very ill really does need other care. So you're going to get divorced because you're trying to protect the assets and the estate, but the marriage also falls apart. The Social Security never goes away. The spouse that earned less could always collect on the higher income earning spouse's Social Security. But at this point, you're dividing your assets, you're protecting your future, and you're thinking about what's best for you. A lot of people should start thinking about trusts, putting your money, your house, your assets into a trust to protect you from when life throws a curveball and you get sick.
We are all getting up in age in here. So what would you advise for us going forward, like to prepare for the time that we're going to get ill, the time that we'll not be able to make decisions for ourselves? Siblings are like our children are fighting over this. It creates a lot of conflict. What can we do to best prepare for times like that?
Well, first of all, everybody should have a last will and testament. You absolutely should have your wishes documented in a document. You should have healthcare proxies to make sure that if you're a single man or woman living in an assisted facility or a retirement community, that you want the right person making decisions options for you, whether the care you're going to receive or to pull the plug, not to be blunt, right?
Yes.
But you want to be able to have a will done. If you have assets, you should think about formulating a trust so that when you pass, you have less tax issues, you have less exposure issues, there's less probate issues. You are simply caring for the future in a way that you thought through. And what we do is we meet with every individual separately. We talk about what they have. We talk about what they envision. Do they have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren? How do they envision themselves? Where do they envision themselves if they get sick? What's the best plan? It's a very individualized plan for each person that differs from place to place. I have a long-term healthcare insurance policy that's in Poland because I want to retire in Poland.
Okay.
Maybe somebody wants to go back, you're from the Philippines, right? Maybe. Yeah. So we need to think about what every person ultimately wants to do and how do we get them there. And it may not be divorce. It may be that they're already divorced, but they want to protect their assets and plan well for the future.
Oh, because this is really very, very important what you're sharing right now. As I've said, like we're all 55 and up in here, and obviously so many different issues are already coming up with our health, and then even like our future, we want to know that we have some kind of security. That's right. And that things happen, when you least expect it, and you want to know. When you said that you outlined the things that you wish for to happen,
yes,
and nobody can contest that, right?
That's right.
Can your children say like, I don't think my parents were in the right mind when they were doing this?
Well, you have to be of sound mind and body when you enter into a final will and testament. So, if you're signing it on, half in, half out, and comatose, it's not going to stand. Which is why it's so important to do it when your faculties are about you, when you're in control. When you're in control now, you plan for when you're not going to be in control to make sure that you don't lose that ultimate control. And it's very important too that you know about how much money you have and how long will that last you and what's the best thing to do, and should you be thinking about selling your house in North Jersey when the market is so hot and get down here and then put your money in the bank and let it grow, or maybe invest in something so you plan your future. Because when you're 25, 35, 45, it's different than when you're 55, 65, 75. Your planning is different. Your conversation with you do financial planning for people, is different with people that are older. So it's critical that you don't stick your head in the sand. You don't say, oh, that will never happen to me, right, or my kids will take care of that. We've seen that they don't. You need to sit down with the right professionals. It's tough conversations. It's not a pleasant topic, but think about how good you'll feel when you now know that you know what's going to happen. There is no surprise.
Exactly. So when I'm sure there's a lot of people here right now thinking like, oh, I need to speak with Carolina because there's so many different things that I did not think of doing. Sometimes you feel that you're invincible, right? Like you think that nothing is ever going to shake you, and then suddenly something catastrophic happens. I actually got, breast cancer a year ago, and I said, like, who would have thought? I just turned 60. I did not see it happening, but it does happen. Exactly. And if, I thank God that it actually was, caught early. And so, but the whole point is that there will be people who might end up being terminal right away. And so, and when you're emotionally charged,
you're not thinking.
You're not thinking very correctly. So that's why, this would be the right time to talk to an attorney like you to start planning your life. And if you're also in I actually have a client, she has, she's married, but the husband is in Florida because the husband does not like the cold weather anymore. She wants to stay here. It doesn't look like the marriage is gonna last, and what's gonna happen with all of that. Like, it's good to be empowered with the knowledge of what your options are.
Absolutely, at any stage in life. So I would encourage anyone, to contact me at Linda Berry McCormick, Carolina Denhard. They could simply Google me. As I like to say, I'm very Googleable. You Google my name and all sorts of things come up. But, get yourself into a consultation. Anyone that calls me that references the show, we're going to offer a complimentary consultation. We will sit down with you. We will answer questions. We will take a look at the plan maybe that you you have. If you have no plan, what a great time to start. It's spring, new beginnings. It's time to clean house. It's time to get prepared.
Wow, thank you for that generous offer,
Absolutely.
like free consultation. You know that just the consultation could cost you an arm and a leg if you are not, and you don't even know if you're going to like the person. I like the fact that I could actually give you a glimpse of how Carolina is as a person, because as you can very well see, she's extremely intelligent, she's very wise, and she's also well connected, because if she is not the right person for you, she will find somebody who can help
That's
you.
right.
Right?
That's
and
right.
Because in the divorce dynasty, we are also surrounded by different experts in different areas, so that you don't feel lost.
That's
and
right.
even like with mental health right now,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
that's
Huge
a big
issue.
thing.
Huge issue. And listen, and mental health issues become more severe later on in life because that isolation kicks in. And a lot of people feel like, oh, my life is closer to the end than the beginning, and what did I accomplish? And now there's divorce, and now I don't feel well. And, so it becomes like a domino effect. And our job as professionals and our job on the Divorce Dynasty platform is to address those things, but offer solutions.
Offer solutions. That is absolutely amazing. Now, let me ask you, when it comes to now planning for, like, say for example, if you're contemplating on divorce, all right, you're already on your middle age, and you're scared. How do we approach this as an option? Like, I'm not sure if I want to get divorced. You're going to say like, but does it mean that when I speak with you, I need to move forward with it, or is it like?
No, I call myself the matchmaker most of the time, because people come to me and because they feel like they can speak to me because they see me on social media, they know my story, they feel like we could have coffee and be friends, right? And
Yes.
and I like that about my reputation, because I really am here to share my story and to empower women especially. A lot of people come in because they just don't know. Life just doesn't make sense, and sometimes the answer is you have to go to marriage counseling.
Right.
You have to go to some sort of, and if you're a person of faith, maybe go speak to your synagogue, or maybe go speak to your church. Something's missing. So before you pull the plug, I'll educate you on the divorce process, but a lot of these people, they just stop talking to each other, or the husband now retired, or the wife retired, and now it's like the kids are in college. They don't know how to talk to one another. It's a new beginning for them in their next chapter, and it certainly may not be divorce. Sometimes it is. Sometimes people have affairs, and the wife will say, or the husband will say, well, I'm out. But they work through it sometimes. So my advice always is, let's really think about what's going on here. It's very easy to start the divorce process, but once you do it, and once that gavel goes down and you're divorced, it's over. Can you get remarried to him or her? Sure, but then why spend all the money on the divorce?
Right.
So why don't we take a look at what other services you may need, which is why the Divorce Dynasty platform makes sense, because we have therapists, we have life coaches, we have support groups, right? Where let's do that maybe first, before you pull the plug.
And domestic violence.
Well, domestic violence is
it's very much on the rise. Like,
Yeah.
how do you help people with going through domestic violence?
well, listen, we have tremendous, attorneys. Obviously, I'm one of them that we work with in domestic violence space. We work with immigration attorneys in domestic violence because I represent a lot of Polish people, Eastern European people. Sometimes their green cards are contingent. If there's a final restraining order entered, they could get deported. So a lot of issues come into this. If you're self-employed and you're earning cash, and now the domestic violence, now divorce starts with so many unraveling things that could happen. We are well versed. We walk people through very carefully and with a lot of caution to get them to the other side. And domestic violence isn't always a black eye. Domestic violence could be financial oppression. It could be psychological abuse. And that also, takes a toll on people. So you have to find an attorney that really understands the domestic violence statute and all the consequences that could happen if you pursue that claim. That said, if you're being abused and you're in danger, then who cares what the consequences are? You have to call the police.
My goodness, Carolina, we need you here to actually deliver like a whole lecture, like seminar on all the different things that you are just speaking about, because a lot of people feel funny, or they feel like they have to be very private and they're not comfortable talking about it. And I love the fact that you're offering free consultation. So why don't you share with the audience what your telephone number is? They like to
Absolutely.
write it down, so go slow.
Absolutely. So my phone number is 973-309-4473. 973-309-4473. Proof positive. My phone just rang a little bit. It's my phone rings in my hand. I'm always available. I'm often in Poland. I do a lot of work with Ukrainian orphans lately, but I'm always on. And if you call me, I will call you back. You know that.
Yes.
Text me. I will text you back. Once we run a conflict search to make sure that I can offer the consultation, it's there, and it's there for the taking, and anyone and everyone that wants to talk about protecting their future should contact me.
Oh my goodness. I have recommended Carolina to a number of friends as I see fit, right? And she is always able to take them on very, very quickly. You want somebody who's accessible and somebody you can feel comfortable talking to, and that is what you are. You're just so open heart and kind-hearted, and so it's very easy for people to just speak their minds and their hearts to you, pour their, you don't want to be like it's not a psychiatry session, but the whole point is that you stick to the facts. These are your problems. You are able to find the solution and or direct them to where they can be helped
Absolutely.
the best.
Yes.
Right? And so, okay, we're almost wrapping up. So if you have to share, give us 3 tips on how to best prepare for our middle age, both for great divorce, also for estate planning, and also for planning for a future.
Absolutely. So the most important thing is you need to get your house in order, I like to call it. Go to Home Depot, get a fireproof box, put dividers in there A through Z, and get all your policies, all your bank statements, your credit card statements. Get everything you need to have in case something happens. And let's say your spouse is the one that manages everything and he's got all the passwords. Well, God's not going to give you the password when he goes upstairs. So get your house in order, get the information. Number 2, make sure that you understand how much money you have and how long that money will last. Make sure that, is it a trust that you need? Is it that you need to take your money out of aggressive stock and put it into something a little more stable? What do you need to do with the pool of money that you have to make sure that you don't run out of that money? What do we do? And then number 3, you need to take care of your mental health. If you don't take care of your mental health, and your physical health is probably going to deteriorate as well. And you can't start doing A and B that I just described if you're not feeling good about yourself, feeling down and feeling lost. So those 3 things combined will help you to have a new beginning for your next chapter.
My goodness, I love that your approach is very holistic, because mental health, what happens between the 2 ears is very important in terms of getting your life in order and making the right decisions that will bring you joy and fulfillment and appreciation of life, so you can move forward with resilience and confidence.
Yes.
So because when you have so many things hanging in your head, oh, what if, all of those what if questions, right?
That's right.
And so, when you have that empowerment within yourself, and also being, surrounded by people who lift you up and who are able to guide you. Oh my goodness, Carolina, what you have just shared with the audience right now is absolutely valuable, very unbelievable, almost to the point it's like, I haven't thought of that, and little things that you even touched upon that you never even thought would affect you in certain ways. So if I were you, I would pick up the phone and call Carolina for a free consultation. If something's bugging you in terms of planning for your life, in terms of your relationship with your husband, or if it looks like it's shaky, you know what? It doesn't mean that you have to get divorced. But perhaps she can steer you on the right direction so you can best be empowered to make intelligent decisions, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so very much for blessing our lives with your wisdom and your expertise. And we hope to bring you back again.
Oh.
And you know what? I am going to propose that we have you kind of like a town hall type of thing where people...
I think that would be amazing, that we bring in some of the other professionals too, and almost set up, like
panel,
tables
right?
or panel, so people could just just, that day could be like college 101.
Right.
You get all your information and then you digest it and then maybe you make a move, because it's overwhelming to get the information all at once.
Right, right.
We plant some seeds.
Yeah, just because that would be the best way for you to. I like what you said about, like, you know, creating like a folder and A to Z.
Yes.
Because it's almost like, that's true. Like, you have papers all over. You don't even know what your passwords are, or like what your, when you, even with me with life insurance policy, like they don't know even where their policy is, right? But the whole point is that would also give you, your family, peace of mind.
That's right.
You know, in times, because, you know, life throws us curveballs, and when life throws curveballs, it's very important that we surround ourselves with people who will lift us up and will basically assist us, support us with the right knowledge and information and guidance as to how we can move forward in life with a lot more ease and peace. Until next time, this is Furley Almonte. Thank you, Carolina.
Thank you.
Carolina Denhard. Remember, Linberry McCormick, and your telephone number again.
973-309-4473.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day. And for you out there, remember, choose to be resilient, choose to be empowered, and make sure you surround yourself with love and kind-hearted people who will just lift you up and lead you to your magnificent new beginnings. Until next time, this is Furley Almonte. Take care now. Bye-bye.